All right. So we said last time, if you remember, we're talking about the 25th day of Adar. But according to the opinion of Rebbe Yeshua, the world was created, the man was created on the first day of Nisan, which means 5 days earlier, 6 days earlier, God began creating the world, which is the 25th day of Adar. That's not what the accepted opinion, but it certainly is a valid opinion. The accepted opinion is that God created man on the first day of Tishrei, 6 months later, and that's why we make Rosh Hashanah on the first day of Tishrei. Okay. So it says the Rebbe, but nevertheless, the point is the 25th day of Elul, according to this opinion of Rabbi Yoshua, the world was created. World was created means everything is being created, which means you and me are being created constantly. And this is the day when the whole thing began, according to Rabbi Yeshua. So the Rebbe said, well, Rabbi Yeshua was wrong. Rebbe says, no, it wasn't wrong. Rabbi Yeshua was talking about how the world was created in God's thought. That began on the 25th day of Adar, and it finished with the creation of man in God's thought on the first day of Nisan. That's in God's thought. In action, God actually started creating the world 6 months later on the 25th day of Elul, and he finished on the first day of Tishrei, which is when we celebrate Rosh Hashanah. But nevertheless, in God's thought. So it comes out in God's thought. That's when God started thinking about creating the world and man. Man is the main thing of the world. Okay, so here we go. Therefore, Adar, in the 25th day of Adar, the Kol Shana, every single year. Let's make this bigger. Here we go. Don't know why this thing is green, but it's not doing me any good. Okay. Every year, Tzorech Liot, there has to be a chirush. Everyone has to feel a renewal every day, the 25th day of Adar. What's the 25th day of Adar? I think it's going to be this Thursday. This Thursday, you should feel a renewal every Jew chirush that expresses mainly the purpose of my creation. I was created only in order to serve my creator. That's why we're served, why we're created. Human beings are created, especially Jews, and we're here to teach the whole world to do this, that the reason we're created is responsibility. We have the responsibility to the creator. And the creator is like his name. The main thing about the creator is the creation. He's a creator. Okay, we can attach this with the whole idea of a birthday. It's known that the soul of Adam was renewed on the day when he was created every year. And since that the soul of Adam includes all of the Jewish souls, so it comes out that the day, with that, it also with all the souls in the world, but especially, listen, what's going on? What was Adam? Adam was a man, and his whole being was just created to serve God. That's the whole story, what the Bible tells us. Man was created to work. He was put into Gan Eden, this place which was like heaven on earth, and he was put on heaven and earth in order to work, to work on it and to protect it. So it comes out that the day that man was created every year, this is like a physical birth. And this is understood that the 25th day of Adar, which that's the beginning of the creation of man in God's thought, this is like a birthday of all of the Jewish people. So again, man was created in order to serve God. He decided not to. He had free will, and he decided to do what he wanted to. He wrecked the whole world up until 2,000 years later, a little bit less, when Adam was born, when Abraham was born. And Abraham was the father of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are supposed to be the ones that show an example, and that they take up the work, the how do you say, the football that Adam fumbled. And we're supposed to take that up, and we're supposed to bring it to the goal. That's the job of the Jewish people. And when that happens, then the whole world will see how much God loves them, that everyone's being created by God. Umisef, and this is understood, the great novelty that has to be in every single Jew in the 25th day of Adar, and the just like a birthday, like a birthday. Now, really, every day is supposed to be like a birthday, but we can catch it from the 25th day of Adar, namely that even after a person finishes working and doing Torah and the commandments and all of his life previously, right, until the way that your Bo Yomim, like it says that Abraham was Zakin Bo Yomim, he was what is it, 137 years old. It says the Yomim that shall live is Tzorich Liot. There has to be a Hosafa. There has to be an addition in and a novelty. Like it says, you serve God your whole life. Nevertheless, you have to feel that today I'm being born anew and I have a new responsibility. Like it says, Ayom ani lidaticha. I today gave birth to you. Now, the fact of the matter is, this is occurring all the time to everyone. God is creating the whole world brand new every instant for every single human being in the world. God is creating everything constantly. So me and you and every Jew and every non-Jew, right? God is creating everything brand new every second. So up to now, your life has been a terrible failure, and you've been the criminal, and you've been a selfish drug addict, thief, liar. That's up to now. That's up to now. Now, God is creating you brand new. Every single instant. Fresh start. Constantly. Okay, you have to fix up the bad things you did. You can't say, well, fresh start, so I don't owe any more money. I borrowed money yesterday, and now I'm a new creation. Okay, you come along with your baggage, but it doesn't minimize the fact that God is creating you brand new. You're on a journey. God you want to say he changes the car. He puts new gas in it, right? In your car, new tires. That's why I say retirement. The Rebbe was against retirement. He didn't like it people retired. I say the Rebbe is for retirement. Like on the racetrack, so they make a pit stop. They put new tires on the car. That's that type of retirement the Rebbe was for. A new start. Therefore, there has to be a hosafa ba'ofen shel chidush lagamri. Therefore, you have to remember that on the 25th day of the month of Adar reminds us that we have to start over brand new constantly, just like this, like you're being brand new born. The 25th reminds us that it's happening all the time. Like the Torah, like it says in Psalms, Ani ayom lidaticha, today I gave birth to you. Ubezeh gufa, and this itself, and God is giving birth to you complete. The dogma is just like the first man. In the beginning, he was created. God put him in Gan Eden, in heaven on earth. That's the true place of every single Jew. And the Jews are supposed to fix up the whole world, that the whole world is like Gan Eden. But mainly, the main point of life is not to go to heaven. Gan Eden, which is another name for heaven, was here on earth. Every single Jew, a soul and a body, the orich yomim, for long and a healthy life. I know we did this yesterday, but it's fun. That's the greatness of the birthday. Okay, from this is understood, revealing. Says the Rebbe, this is where the Rebbe started it off, that everyone should celebrate their birthday. When were you born? Celebrate that day. Lo rak leida b'gneshna, not just when your soul was born, but when your body was born. Your birthday is an important day. That's the day that your soul was joined with your body in the physical world. The Kol Rosh, first of all, Benogela B'nei Benos Yisrael. First of all, the Jewish people, men and women, that the day that they're born really started on Kaf Hey Adar, the 25th day of Adar, because that's the day when God thought about creating the world, and the main thing of the world was man, and the ones that took up the job of that man, Adam, failed in were the Jews to fix up the world. So therefore, Nifal Gam Eitzel B'nei Bishpachto. Therefore, every Jew should try to have some influence on their family, whether Al Yedei Aish, whether the father of the family, the mother of the family, and especially the woman of the family. The woman is called Akeret Abayit. She's called the foundation of the house. and every single Jewish family, Israel, or regarding all of the Jewish people, everyone should make a point of celebrating your birthday, because the day you're born was the day that you were given responsibility and ability to fix up the world. Can you do it like it's known that God and the Jewish people, they are like a man and his wife. From this, it's understood that the birthday of a woman, and especially a righteous woman, which every Jewish woman is supposed to be, and every woman in the world is supposed to be, but take an example from the Jewish women, is relevant to the birth of all of the Jewish people, because the Jewish people are called the wife of God. And Mount Sinai, it says the Mount Sinai was the of a wedding day, and God was the groom, and the Jewish people were the bride. Al derech mashal, al derech says similarly, also by means of the Jewish people, the Yom Holedet, that the day that their birthday, if your birthday happens to be near Kaf Hey Adar, near Kaf Hey Adar. I have a son born on Kaf Tes Adar. But Gam also, those people that the day of their birthday, Shiyom Holedet them after a certain amount of time, the Kol Echad Bechad Israel, all the Jewish people, since the 25th day of Adar, that's the beginning of God's deed in thought, that when it rose up in God's thought to create man, that's God's in thought. Nasa, there's made a novelty, a renewal in all of the Jewish people, all Klolos and the Neshamas Israel, especially this birth, like the birth of the soul. In addition to this, there has to be a renewal in the service of all of the Jewish people. So that you're feeling you're born doesn't mean that, wow, I'm happy that God is creating me. That's also true. But I'm happy that God is creating me for a purpose, and I can do this purpose. My contract has been renewed. This is a preparation for the individual birthday. In other words, the 25th day of Adar, which was the day when God rose up in God's thought to create the world. This is a preparation for each and every person when your birthday, when your soul came into your body in one of the days of the year. You have to use the day, your birthday, when it says Mazlo Gover, that's the day, it's a lucky day, it's a spiritual blessed day, in order to add more power and more energy and more, say, the joy in everything you do in Torah and the commandments in a way that should be brand new. And it should be explained, which is explained in a lot of other places, the customs, what you should do on your birthday. So when the Rebbe came out with this, there was a lot of people that they opposed what the Rebbe said anyway, but they opposed this especially. They said, a birthday, that's not a Jewish thing. A birthday, what do we care about birthday? And the Rebbe pointed out that the Ben Ish Chai, or Chacham Yosef Chaim, he wrote that I celebrate my birthday. But here the Rebbe is pointing out very good, positive, spiritual, godly reasons why your birthday is important. Why? Because you're important. You're important. Every human being is important. No human being is, they say, worthless, replaceable. No such thing as a person that's replaceable. Right? That's why it's so terrible, these people who are for, abortion at whim. I mean, abortion is permissible according to the Torah. There's certain instances where abortion is okay, but not just whenever you want. Giving birth is bad. It's a bad thing. Having abortion is a good thing to be proud of. Abortion. Exactly the opposite. A birthday is perhaps the greatest holiday in Judaism. Without birthdays, there's no Jews, there's no Judaism, there's no Torah, there's no anything. So therefore, it's a day when a soul came into the body and was given free choice. And so this is a day when you should also choose positive things, making positive resolutions. Umitoch simcha, and it should be done in a happy way. Hidvadud, you should gather people together and make a hisvadus of simcha, a happy. And that by means of this, you add life and energy in all of your service. And this should be done on the 25th day of Adar. This is the beginning of the whole creation of the world in God's thought. This should be the source, the happiness that you get from the 25th day of Adar, which is going to be in a couple of days. This is connected to the birth of the source of the souls of man the first time. This is the whole novelty of the giving of the birth of souls every year on the 25th day, like it is in every individual soul on the birthday. So 25th day of Adar is the day that we just explained, is when it rose up in God's thought to create the world. And because the main thing of the world is man, and in this case, the main thing of man is the Jewish people, because we're supposed to teach all of mankind what is a man. So therefore, the 25th day of Adar is when it rose up in God's thought to create me and you, and every single one of us. And it's a day when we have new responsibility and new powers to do that responsibility, the 25th day of Adar, and that reminds us that every day is brand new. And nevertheless, when your birthday comes, celebrate. Gather your friends together, at least make a l'chaim. You give them blessings, they give you blessings. This is especially, says the Rebbe, in this year. This is the year the Rebbe spoke. This was in 1989. The Rebbe said this speech. The reason that we're learning this is because the dates and the Torah portion correspond to this year, basically, almost. It's like 2 days off, 2 dates off. That the 25th day of Adar, back then, it fell on Shabbat. And it was also Shabbat, Parshat HaChodesh. What's it mean, HaChodesh? That in it we read the Torah portion from right in the close to the beginning of the book of the third chapter of the third whatever is the chapter of the book of Exodus, the third Torah reading in the book of Exodus, where we read about the commandment that God gave to the Jewish people when they were in Egypt, 15 days before they left Egypt, on the first day of Nisan. And God said, Achodesh Hazeh, this month is going to be for you the beginning of months. It's the first of the months of the year. Okay, so the month of Nisan, that's the month of the Judaism began, the month. It says the year, the solar year, when man was created, was on Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Tishrei. But when the Jews, that was the Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the world. But the beginning of the Jewish people, that was in the month of Nisan. Chodesh, in Hebrew, the word for month is Chodesh, new, renewal. Chidush. Kevin, since Chodesh Nisan, since the month of Nisan is Rosh Hashadashim, this is the first of the months of the year, and especially Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of the month of Nisan, which the month of every Chodesh means renewal. Also, it's called Chodesh because that's when the moon starts to become new. So it's called a Chodesh renewal. But especially the month of Nisan, that's the head of all of the months of the year. This is the source and the origin of the whole idea of renewal, something being new. That's the connection of Chodesh and Kafei Adar, of the month and Kafei Adar. Now, when the Rebbe was speaking, this came out together. They read from the Parshat HaChodesh, right? This is the Torah portion that we read before the first day of Nisan, right? The Kafei Adar. And Kafei Adar, this is also the day when the world was created. Kevin Shagam Kafei Adar, but since the first day in God's thought, since the 25th day of Adar, this is the source of, we said, renewal of the whole world. This is the source of the beginning of God's deed. In other words, this is God's thought to begin the world. This is the source of renewal of a Yom Holedet, of the birthday, like we said before. So again, let's take this slower a little bit. The point of Judaism is to tell us that God is renewing everything constantly, that the whole world and everything in it and every human being is an amazing miracle. And God is creating everything from love, everything constantly, and God cares about everything. True, God is far, far above the world and above anything and above consciousness and above time and above this, but God is not limited to being above. God is also involved in the world and he cares about the world. That's the message of HaSichot. That's the message of Moshiach. That God, as high and as amazing and as spiritual and above the spiritual, he creates the spiritual he is, but also the main thing in God's interest is this physical world. And God is creating this world brand new every instant. God, from his essence, he's creating the world all the time. It's true, there's a whole system of how God's doing it, but that's, after all, God personally himself is creating the whole world. And he's creating it brand new. And our job, and the message of Judaism, is that people should feel this. When you feel this, first of all, you feel that I'm important. God loves me. I'm not here by accident. And you feel I have a reason to be here. I don't exactly know what it is, but maybe just to say good morning to somebody, maybe to help somebody, but there has to be something positive. It can't be the reason that I'm here is to steal or to lie or to cheat or to increase myself or to be more powerful or get more pleasure or whatever. Can't be. Who's going to give me power? Who's going to give me pleasure? God is creating the world brand new. If he creates the world, don't worry, he can take care of you. He's not creating you to torture you. He'll take care of it. You have to do your job. And what is your job? According to non-Jews, the 7 Noahide commandments, the Jews are the Torah. But God is creating you constantly. That's the point. So this is being reminded to us all the time, constantly. 2 big reminders are the month of Nisan, which is the birth of the Jewish people, and the month of Tishrei, which that's the beginning of the world, and the end of the month of Elul, when it rose up in God's, month of Adar, when it rose up in God's thought to create the world. And these things are happening constantly, brand new all the time, reminding us that we're being created all the time. We don't know what this means, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. When you think about this, it's a little more difficult to be depressed. You're not alone. It's a little more difficult to run after your desires and lusts. Maybe I don't need these things. Maybe God will provide for me. It's a little bit more difficult to be angry and destructive. Maybe I'm not the king of the universe. Maybe, let God take care of things. Maybe the other guy is right. Right. So you know that you're how do you say, a creation, an emissary. And it's brand new all the time. The novelty of the month of Nisan, which that's the first day of Nisan, regarding all the rest of the year, this is understood what the rabbis say, when God chose to create the world, he said, and that there's going to be the beginning of months and years. That's the month of Tishrei. When God chose the Jewish people, Yaakov and his sons, so he said that Rosh Chodesh is going to be the month of redemption. The Jews got out of Egypt. That's the birth of the Jewish people. Namely, all of the months of the year, they're attached to what? Nature. Nature, the moon goes around, it changes. The moon, that's the months of the year. The sun is close, how it shines in the world. That's the days of the year, summer, winter. But the Jewish people, when God chose the Jewish people, he chose the month of Nisan, that's the month of miracles, that God took the Jews, redemption. He took the Jews out of nature. God took the Jews out of any limitation. But Ilu Chodesh Nisan, that's the month of creation. But the month of Nisan, Kashurim Ofen Hanaga, which is above nature. And so God wants both. Which this, by the way, is an interesting thing. How the Rebbe attitude towards science and how valuable and necessary science is. That we have an obligation to use science to improve the world. That's the creation of the world. The world was created according to certain laws, and if man can investigate these laws and he can use them for his positive purposes, but not to forget that the world is not the end of the story. The world is only a creation, and the world has to be directed not only according to the desires of man and the benefit of man, because if you misuse science and you take God out of it, then you get what we just had in World War II from the most scientific and advanced nations in the world, where Japan and Germany were amazing, right? The inventions they had, and because this is godliness, especially Germany. This is a level of godliness which it has to be directed by the month of Nisan. The month of Nisan is reminding us that the whole world is really being created by